Hello, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the Newsfeed. I'm Bobby Trono. In response to COVID-19 crisis, Virginia Tech upgraded Shifford Health Center, boasting the ability to administer hundreds of tests per week. But many students have found it difficult to get a test and have had negative experiences when they got an appointment. On social media sites like Twitter and Reddit, students are posting nightmarish stories like waiting 2 or more days for a test, hour-long lines for the walk-in clinic, and even refusals for Shifford to provide testing. When the students are able to get an appointment, they are often told that they should have waited longer before requesting a test. Virginia Tech sophomore Tanner Motzkow went to the walk-in clinic and was scolded by a nurse for requesting a test because he could not prove he was exposed to the virus.
They were like, your chances of having COVID are like so slim. Like, there's no point in you even taking it. Like, we could be testing people that are actually at risk.
The only official response the school has made to the complaints is directing them to their COVID dashboard, and the Dean of Students of Tech also announced that they were expanding testing to 2,000 tests per week and implementing a weekly random testing plan. Shifford isn't the only place to get tested for COVID-19. Blacksburg and Christiansburg have multiple testing locations for students and locals. Located on Gilbert Street in Blacksburg, Carolyn Clinic's Velocity Care has drive-up testing for patients. However, visitors must make an appointment in advance and stay inside their car at all times. Once patients have arrived, they must call Velocity Care and an attendant will come out and come to their car. In Christiansburg, on Spradlin Farm Drive, MedExpress has a drive-through testing without a prior appointment. Patients can drive up to the side of the building and call MedExpress to let them know that they have arrived.
They came up to your car, got your information, checked your insurance, and then eventually came out to our car with the test, and just like they do it from the window.
COVID testing isn't just offered at these 2 locations. A quick web search can let you know what places are offering testing and what you can do beforehand. McComas Hall was already going to be busy this year with the closure and renovation of War Memorial Hall. Now, with COVID-19, the gym has a more challenging dilemma to accommodate all the students and keep them socially distanced due to the state's health restrictions. Newsfeed reporter Chase Mumma went inside McComas Hall to get a look at how things are flowing. Chase?
That's right, Bobby. McComas Hall has implemented plenty of new rules and guidelines in order to be admitted into the gym, using the Hokey Ready app to be sure that people that are entering the gym are not coming in with any sort of symptoms. They use face masks. They use all sorts of different techniques to make sure that everyone is staying safe within the gym there at McComas Hall. I went into McComas Hall this week in order to take a look and see how they're keeping people safe in and outside of the gym. Like most gyms around the country, McComas Hall was shut down earlier in the year due to COVID-19. With the new semester starting a few weeks ago, McComas was able to reopen its doors. State guidelines mandate that when working out, you must be spaced at least 6 feet apart. The staff at McComas decided to move equipment out onto the basketball courts in order to get the necessary space required. Will Trent is the marketing manager for Rec Sports here at Virginia Tech, and he talked with me about the guidelines that were set in order to reopen.
Sure, yeah. So to do our best to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, we've taken everything we can as far as recommendations and guidelines from our governor, from President Sands, and even the county, Montgomery County, and have tried to even go one step further.
Sanitation can't be stressed enough when trying to run a gym during a pandemic. McComas utilizes self-spray bottles so patrons can wipe down the equipment after they have completed their workout. The gym has also invested in fog machines, which are utilized to kill any bacteria that might be left on any equipment or mats after big Group X classes. Ariana has worked at McComas for years and says they are trying their best to keep everything as clean as possible.
Before, it was a cleaning at the beginning and at the end. Now we're doing 3 big cleanings, so at the beginning and between from 2 to 3, and then at the end of the day, and we also clean between each patron.
In a world of uncertainty, one thing is for sure. McComas Hall is going to be one of the safest places here on campus. Health and safety is always a top priority on college campuses, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic. McComas Hall is just another example of the exemplary job that Virginia Tech has done during this pandemic to stop the spread of the coronavirus here in Blacksburg and the New River Valley. Being the only gym on campus has been difficult, but the hardworking staff over at McComas Hall have been working day and night to create the safest gym environment possible. I'm Chase Mumaw, reporting for the Newsfeed.
There's more just ahead on the newsfeed. What does the job search market look like when graduating during a pandemic? And we'll take a look at how Blacksburg Transit is being impacted by COVID-19. That story and more after this break.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.
Welcome back to the newsfeed. I'm Bobby Trono. 2020 has been a whirlwind of a year for everyone as COVID-19 rapidly spreads across the world. One group that has been particularly hit hard was the graduating class of 2020, who had to complete their last semester of college during quarantine. They are also faced with uncertainty of life after graduation, as jobs laid off employees and internships were canceled at alarming rates. As the pandemic continues to impact everyone around the country, the class of 2021 is faced with the same possible complications. Newsfeed reporter Kai Young has more on this story.
COVID-19 has shaken up the world in the past 9 months. Businesses and schools were forced to shut down or operate within quarantine guidelines, and everyone had to adjust to a new normal. Those planning to graduate in the spring of this year were faced with the reality of how these changes might affect the next step in their lives after college. With the increase in the unemployment rate in the early months of the pandemic, the search for a job post-graduation was a daunting one for some. 2020 Virginia Tech graduate Kyra Bowling recounts her struggle to make plans for post-graduation.
It caused me a lot of stress because they didn't really tell us when they were going to push back our jobs until like a month later. So I was like, wait, do I still have a job? Should I be freaking out? Like, what should be happening? So yeah, I was definitely stressed about like what was going to happen and like still what's going to happen if we're going to go back to the office and stuff.
As we are currently still in the midst of the pandemic, that stress of what the future holds now falls on the graduating class of 2021. Set to graduate in the fall of this year, current Virginia Tech student Claire Hudson is now on track with her post-graduation plans.
I currently work at the Mountain Lake Lodge in Pembroke, Virginia, and I worked full-time there this summer. I am part-time through the school year, but I'm hoping to go full-time and year-round next summer.
While everyone continues to find a new normal during this time, the next generation of professionals are entering the workforce head-on. Reporting for the Newsfeed, I'm Kai Young.
Blacksburg Transit made stricter restrictions this fall, reducing the number of riders and buses on the road. Measures such as face coverings and protective shields for drivers have been implemented, and bus airflow is changing to ensure better air circulation. Blacksburg Transit is working to keep both passengers and drivers safe. Drivers work to ensure the safety of passengers by enforcing social distancing on the buses and the proper use of face coverings. With buses running at 2/3 capacity and fewer buses on the road, Virginia Tech students worry about getting to campus on time.
I think it really limits the amount of people that can go to campus and makes it more difficult for students to be able to get to campus. However, when I have been riding, I've never seen a bus have to pass by a stop and not let people on. And I think that's just because everyone has online classes right now, so they don't actually have the chance to really go to campus as much.
With classes online, the number of restrictions for buses haven't impacted students as some fear. They implemented safety measures, are keeping riders and drivers safe and keeping buses on the road. Blacksburg restaurants remain busy thanks to the rising popularity of delivery services as students and residents play their part in the slowing of the spread. Newsfeed reporter Madison Storm has the story.
As coronavirus continues to spread, Blacksburg residents are taking extra precautions to stay safe. One way of doing this is by carrying out instead of dining in. Many local restaurants are advertising delivery and carry-out options with hopes of keeping business up.
We have DoorDash, we now have Grubhub, we have our own online ordering. Definitely picked up more. The online is picking up even more.
Other restaurants are building upon their already coveted delivery services. Jimmy John's driver Mary Awfuldish tells us more.
I'd say the ratio of people coming into the store to just order directly versus ordering online leans heavily towards the deliveries.
Recent reports by companies like Uber Eats and DoorDash show delivery rates have been steadily increasing since the start of the pandemic in March. One of the biggest concerns with deliveries is safety. Not only do Uber Eats drivers follow contactless delivery guidelines, but are also required to wear a mask at all times. Companies are doing their best to accommodate employees, though, going so far as to provide personal protective equipment to their drivers.
While staying in seems like a good idea to some, clearly many students aren't deterred by the risk of exposure.
It's kind of crazy on these Friday and Saturday nights, just the amount of people that I see walking downtown, just going out often without masks.
Even though coronavirus continues to spread in Blacksburg, restaurant owners are working to keep business booming. With it, they expect to continue seeing delivery and takeout dining grow in popularity.
That will wrap up this edition of the Newsfeed. If you have a story idea for us in the Newsfeed, let us know and send us an email at thenewsfeednrv@gmail.com. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching. I'm Bobby Trono.